Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you right now. Adam Peters has the 7th pick in his hands. 7 days until the draft in Pittsburgh, and there is a conversation circulating in DMV circles that, if it gets confirmed Thursday night, is going to make the entire Commander Nation absolutely explode. The Jets want to move up. Washington has exactly what they need, and the trade sitting on that table is not just a swap of picks. It is the move that can redefine this entire roster in a single surgical strike. Messidor at 16, Brazel at 33, the ultimate weapon for Jaden Daniels in the second round. That is what Peters can build if he has the guts to pick up that phone. But here is the open loop that nobody is talking about yet. There is one specific condition that makes this trade an absolute stroke of genius or turns it into the biggest mistake of the offseason. One single variable, one name. And if that name comes off the board before Washington is on the clock, Peters has to pull the trigger without blinking. And if that were not enough, there's something else generating serious conversation across the entire DMV this week, something that has nothing to do with picks or free agency, but that communicates exactly where this franchise is headed, and that in 7 days is going to be shining under the lights in Pittsburgh in a way that will make every burgundy and gold faithful feel something they have not felt in a long time. All of that gets broken down right now. If you trust Adam Peters' process, hit that like button and subscribe to join the real Commander Nation. We are staying in Pittsburgh. Raise hail. All right, let's get into it. The proposal that's been circulating goes like this. The Commanders trade pick number 7 to the Jets. In return, they get 16, 33, 103, and they send back only pick 1, 47. Stop. Breathe. Think about that for a second. Number 7 for 16, 33, and 103. That's not just a trade. That's full roster surgery in one move. Now, the first thing you need to understand is why this works for both sides. The Jets need an elite wide receiver who probably won't make it to 16. Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Those guys are going to fly off the board. If New York wants one of them, they need to move up. And number 7 is exactly where they can grab their guy. For Washington, the question is different. Who do you actually lose by sliding down 9 spots? And that's where this proposal becomes tactically brilliant. If Jeremiah Love is still on the board at 7, the Commanders do not make this trade, period. Love is a dual-threat running back who fits Clint Kubiak's system so perfectly, it would be almost irresponsible to pass on him. That part is critical. Like, boys, this trade only works if Love is already gone. Assuming that's the case, what do you lose at 7? A premier edge rusher or a premier wide receiver? Yeah, that stings a little, but listen to what you get back. At pick 16, the Commanders attack their most urgent need, a pass rusher off the edge. And the options that are likely still on the board at that spot are real. Akeem Messidor from Miami and Keldrick Falk from Auburn. Both rated almost identically on NFL.com, 6.43 and 6.42 respectively. That's what you call a luxury problem. Falk has the frame, the movement skills, the ability to play in odd or even fronts. High character player, fluid athlete. Works around blockers with finesse, but he needs to develop a more assertive initial strike. Messidor, though, man, this guy is special. Fluid rush style, natural instincts. He can shrink the corner. His hands and feet work in harmony, and he strings moves together with mid-rush adjustments that look improvised but are completely deliberate. That kind of toolbox is not something you easily coach. The analysis goes with Messidor, and I'm right there with it. That's your new edge rusher at 16. Now let's go to 33, second round, and this is where this trade gets absolutely beautiful, fam. Chris Brazel out of Tennessee, wide receiver, and not just any receiver. We're talking about a guy whose 2025 tape shows the game slowing down for him. That moment when a talented player starts to truly understand football at the next level. Long strides, dominant in the air, a body that captures airspace against cornerbacks, length that makes defensive backs helpless on deep routes. The scouting report calls him an eventual plus starter. That's not development guy language. That's this dude is going to be a problem for opposing defenses language. And the best part of Brazel in the context of the Commanders having a wide receiver of that quality on the other side of the formation makes Terry McLaurin even more dangerous because now defenses can't cheat toward Terry's side. They have to respect both of them. Jaden Daniels with McLaurin on one side and Brazel developing on the other. Y'all don't understand how much I like that picture. Then at pick 103, Washington works the linebacker spot. Keyshawn Elliott from Arizona State brings good size, speed for the position, read-react instincts, and violent downhill tackling. There was also a cornerback in the conversation, Malik Muhammad from Texas, but given how Washington got burned with Emmanuel Forbes and the size issue at corner, Elliott is the smarter, safer call there. So if you make this trade, you come out of the draft with a day one edge rusher in Akeem Messidor, a wide receiver with starter upside in Chris Brazel, and a fast, instinctive linebacker in Keyshawn Elliott. All of that by sliding from 7 to 16. 7. Should Adam Peters make this trade? Look, I could be wrong about this, but if Love goes early and there's no truly unmissable edge rusher sitting at 7, this trade makes a lot of sense. The only real reason to stay put would be if someone like Abdul Carter somehow fell, which is not happening, or if Sonny Styles from Ohio State is there and Peters decides he's the best available. But if the board clears those names before Washington's turn comes, fam, call the Jets, make the deal, build the roster. And all of this brings me to something worth addressing directly. What are the Commanders' actual priorities heading into this draft? NFL.com has it clear. Wide receiver, edge rusher, offensive line, in that order. And look, I get the order, but let's be honest about each one. Wide receiver is the most visible need because McLaurin isn't getting any younger in the NFL, and you need to give Jaden Daniels a legitimate second weapon. Free agency didn't solve that, so yeah, hitting WR in the draft has to happen. Edge rusher is probably the most urgent in terms of defensive impact. Washington needs a pressure generator off the edge, someone who can make opposing quarterbacks genuinely uncomfortable. If you land Messidor at 16 through the trade, that box checks itself. Offensive line is the quietest need, but the most important long-term. Jaden Daniels needs time. He needs protection. The O-line improved last season, but there's still work to do in Ashburn. If the trade happens and some day 3 picks include lineman projects, Peters will have done his homework. Chia. The core point is this: the Commanders have multiple holes for a single first-round pick, and that is the single strongest argument for making the trade. And hey, before we close, the Commanders are still generating conversation, even over their uniforms. NFL.com had the Washington uniform reveal in their What's Popular section this week. The Super Bowl-era jerseys are back, and the all-black alternate has people talking all over the DMV. And Jackery Kroski Merritt's reaction on NFL Network was exactly the energy that every Commanders fan felt when we first saw them. Fam, those jerseys look clean. The burgundy, the gold, the classic W on the helmet. Everything about it says this team knows who they are and where they're going. That's identity. That's what those uniforms communicate. And in 1 week, when the draft comes and those picks get announced in Pittsburgh with that helmet shining under the lights, it's going to look like a team with purpose. Raise hail. 7 days. That's all that's left. 7 days until Adam Peters walks to that podium in Pittsburgh and tells us what kind of team they're building. Do they stay at 7 and take the best available? Or do they call the Jets, make the deal, and walk out of draft weekend with Messidor, Brazel, and Elliott? I've got my answer. You've got yours. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you trade number 7 or do you stay put? I want to see what the burgundy and gold faithful are saying. And if this breakdown hit different today, leave that like. It helps me keep bringing this level of content every single day. See you tomorrow. Draft week is here. Raise hail.